Jarad Wicks here with the Heel to the Face podcast. Now, we recorded our traditional episode this past Thursday. We were talking all about news in the world of professional wrestling out of Las Vegas because it was AEW's Double or Nothing weekend with their pay-per-view happening this Sunday night from the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. But WWE announced some Las Vegas news of their own post our recording, and that was Allegiant Stadium, the home of Money in the Bank 2022 on July the 2nd, will no longer be happening at the home of the Raiders, but instead be moved to the MGM Grand Garden Arena. Seems very unique because obviously WWE has been airing a lot of these Money in the Bank commercials featuring Cody Rhodes live from Allegiant Stadium, in which he talks about how it's the home of last year's SummerSlam, it's the home of all these big-time concerts, the Raiders, it's a big-time event, and they were trying to get people to come on out. But unfortunately, some things many of us kind of saw coming happen in the sense of WWE booked a little too many stadiums in a too short period of time. And while Money in the Bank is indeed a big-time pay-per-view, it is not yet up there with the likes of the Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, and WrestleMania, and it does not help that SummerSlam this year is also in a stadium. It's also in a travel destination of Nashville, Tennessee, and SummerSlam this year actually has some of the peripherals to make it a tourism event. You're going to have Ric Flair's last match, you're going to have GCW, and you might have even some other wrestling events that are in Nashville that weekend to get people to truly travel out to that stadium show. A lot of the fans who travel for WWE to go check out events at different venues have been to Allegiant Stadium. They were there less than 1 year ago when they went to SummerSlam 2021, myself included, and maybe this time around they're choosing to head up SummerSlam in Nashville, or maybe even to head up the Clash at the Castle in Cardiff, Wales come early September. So Allegiant Stadium had that working against it. Now, the idea is that Las Vegas is this mecca. People are going to Las Vegas almost all the time, especially every single summer. On vacation, you can kind of make it an annual tradition to go to Las Vegas and go to a big-time event, because obviously it's a place that's full of tourism. And WWE actually, and Nick Khan specifically, said that he had no intention of needing this place to be full. Last year at SummerSlam, they only ran about half of the stadium, drawing about 50,000 people. The place at full capacity can draw about 70,000. So they drew about 50,000 for SummerSlam last year. But WWE had no intention of even needing to draw that many this year. The tickets that were being sold, they were hoping between 25 and 35,000 people for Money in the Bank. As of just a few days ago, they had only sold to 17,000 people, even with all that last-minute marketing. And with only about a month left to go, WWE had to make the decision to move to the smaller venue now and get people to get tickets for this new event in time, or to be up against a stadium that looks, let's just say, not that full. Now, the reason that WWE moved to the MGM Garden Arena could also be part of the reason for the competition that they have that weekend, is that UFC on Saturday night is running a show out of the T-Mobile Arena. It is a UFC pay-per-view, so WWE was planning to go against the UFC pay-per-view on that Saturday night. But to be honest with you, a lot of people who are making a bigger deal out of this, in the sense of going up against UFC, saying, well, that wasn't a smart decision, have to remember that last year, SummerSlam went right up against a Manny Pacquiao fight that took place at the T-Mobile Arena that exact same day, that exact same time. Las Vegas is one of those tourism and big enough places in which two things can go up against each other. Now, WWE did not really have the option of moving this event to Sunday, regardless of it being at Allegiant Stadium or being at the MGM Grand, because they had already booked a house show event in Tucson, Arizona on Sunday night. Now, that obviously means that WWE has to move to the MGM Garden Arena because of the fact that the T-Mobile is being taken by UFC. The MGM Garden Arena holds about 15,000 people, so some people are going to get displaced by this announcement because everybody's being refunded. And then what fans are going to have an opportunity to do is buy new tickets when they go on sale next Friday, June the 3rd, 2022 with a promo code that they will be given via email to give them first dibs. But unfortunately, these things get out there and everybody and anybody's going to have a chance at this promo code. So there are going to be some people who are displaced who originally had tickets for the first Money in the Bank who will not have tickets for this new Money in the Bank venue. And that's going to be disheartening, and that's going to be pretty annoying and frustrating for those, especially if you're somebody who's not getting tickets for this upcoming event, but you've already planned the airfare, you've already planned the hotel, and all the travel arrangements, which are probably too late to get refunded at this time. Now, obviously, there's going to be scalpers, and we all got to do what we got to do. When I went to Dallas this past year for WrestleMania, my flight was canceled the day of at the airport. I was planning to fly out Friday morning from Syracuse, New York, right to Dallas, Texas for WrestleMania in time for the Undertaker's Hall of Fame that night. My flight got canceled. I had to pay a lot of money to get on a last-minute flight. But you got to do what you got to do. So I imagine if you have hotel and flights and all that stuff already accommodated, you're going to be somebody who will pay whatever it is, even if you're sold out of tickets and have to pay a little bit more, you're going to get tickets for the MGM Grand Garden Arena event on July the 2nd. Now, one curiosity and one thing that makes me kind of wish I was going to Money in the Bank is the fact that they are moving to the MGM Grand Garden Arena. To my recollection, the first time that WWE will be holding a televised show from there. Now, back in the 90s, if you remember, WCW held a lot of Halloween Havocs and some Nitros from the MGM Garden Arena, as well as AEW hosting the very first ever Double or Nothing from that venue in Las Vegas, Nevada. So it's obviously been home to Mayweather versus Pacquiao. It's been home to Tyson fights. It's quite an iconic venue. Sure, it's not as big as Allegiant Stadium, but when it comes to Las Vegas, it is a very iconic venue. WWE has normally held shows from the, let's just say, multi-purpose generic arenas. Before the T-Mobile Arena was built, WWE held a lot of their Monday Night Raws and their pay-per-views from the Thomas and Mack Center on the campus of UNLV. Now, if you've never been to Las Vegas, here's essentially how it is. The T-Mobile Arena is a standalone arena. While it is on the strip between casinos, it is a standalone nice arena. The Thomas and Mack Center is off the strip by the campus of UNLV. It is not near a casino. It is not really something where you can walk to a casino or attach to a casino. It is a standalone arena with a standalone parking lot. So if you're familiar to going to WWE events anywhere in the country and where you park in a big parking lot and then you walk over to an arena that is in a big parking lot, that's the Thomas and Mack Center. It doesn't really give you the Las Vegas vibes when you were at this arena, but the MGM Garden Arena, well, that is built right in with a casino. Last year, I actually had the luxury or the ability to see Colin Cowherd and a bunch of other podcast interviews take place for SummerSlam from inside the MGM Garden Arena. It's a cool place to go. Obviously, it's a very iconic casino in Las Vegas, but I can see why WWE never really ran shows there before is because of the fact that most entrances are through a casino, which is not really family friendly. The main doors for the MGM Garden Arena are through the casino, and yes, kids can go in, obviously, with the sense of going to an event. They're not barred from going to the arena, but just the idea that it's within a casino maybe was off-putting to WWE and some of their family ties and their ideas to bring more children and families out to events. So they tried to go to more of a localized venue that is not directly tied in with gambling. But because, like I said, the UFC pay-per-view is going to be happening at the T-Mobile Arena, they will be at the MGM Grand on July the 2nd. I imagine they'll have no trouble filling that arena, especially for a lot of people like myself out there who are a little more enticed to see the first ever WWE show from the MGM Grand Garden Arena. I would have thought it was cool last year if SummerSlam would have had SmackDowns and Raws and other stuff go with SummerSlam at Allegiant Stadium at the MGM or even the T-Mobile, maybe even NXT at that time. They did not. But I think it's really cool that they're running the MGM Arena. This is, I guess, I'm wondering how WWE, though, is going to go about this going forward, meaning are they going to have more contingency plans for some stadium shows? We all remember the big WrestleMania 7 debacle. WrestleMania 7 was supposed to happen at the LA Memorial Sports Coliseum in Los Angeles that holds 100,000 people. They advertised, it was going to be the biggest event and biggest capacity and biggest attendance in WWF history at the time, and then said about a month before the event, there was a big bomb threat and safety concerns with it being an outdoor venue, so they had to move indoors to the 15,000 seat arena nearby. Now, many people have debunked that and said the reason they really moved indoors was because they had sold about 15,000 seats. They were hoping to sell another 80,000 seats, but they only had a month left to go. So they ran the risk of if they sold any more seats, they wouldn't be able to place people who've already bought seats into the new venue. So they stopped ticket sales. They placed everybody who bought tickets for the Coliseum into the arena, and they placed them up in comparable seats the best that they could, and didn't look like they had pie on their face by having a huge venue with only about 20,000 people in it. That's essentially what they did this time around. Like I said, though, they sold a few more seats than the MGM Grand holds, so there will be some people displaced. But I was at SummerSlam last year, and I remember them announcing that this event was happening in Las Vegas on July the 2nd, and I thought to myself right then and there, somebody who traveled to SummerSlam that year, somebody who traveled to Survivor Series, someone who traveled to Royal Rumble, someone who traveled to WrestleMania this year, thought to myself, I will not be attending that event for a multitude of reasons. One, I had just been to Las Vegas. Las Vegas is a very cool place. I can go a lot. But when it comes to traveling for WWE events, I like to try to go to somewhere new when possible. Obviously, they do repeat some of the same places, but if they repeat them within a few weeks or even a year of each other, I probably won't attend. If WrestleMania next year was in Dallas, I probably wouldn't go to WrestleMania next year, as I just went to Dallas a few months ago. So with that being said, I knew I wasn't going to Las Vegas this upcoming year for Money in the Bank, as well as the fact that it's not one of their major events. Yes, Money in the Bank, I think, and many people think, has replaced Survivor Series as one of the big four events, but it still is yet to be Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, or WrestleMania. I think those are some bigger events that draw more people in, and especially the fact that it is butting up against other stadium events. If Money in the Bank was in a stadium, but SummerSlam and the Clash of the Castle were not, then maybe you could draw a little bit better of a crowd. But the fact that you're expecting to draw 30,000 plus at Nashville for SummerSlam, which is your summertime staple event, and then obviously those in Cardiff, Wales for Clash of the Castle, which might even draw people from the United States traveling over for this big time event, you can see why Money in the Bank would be the toughest of the sells. And most recently, it has been noted, especially on the marketing materials for this upcoming Money in the Bank pay-per-view, Roman Reigns, Ronda Rousey, and Brock Lesnar are absent from it. So having three huge names that were at one time on the poster and promotional materials for Money in the Bank no longer there is definitely something that was not going to help that last-minute ticket sale push that they really needed in WWE. So I wonder if they'll have more contingency plans going forward when they run these big-time events. I wonder if this is a real downer when it comes to morale, in the sense that everything WWE touched turned to gold as of late, especially in these stadium shows. Big-time attendance at the Royal Rumble, big-time attendance at WrestleMania. But when it comes to Money in the Bank, they are going to come to a halt and go back to an arena for Saturday night, July the 2nd, the MGM Grand Garden Arena. Now, this upcoming week on the show, when we recap everything AEW Double or Nothing, we will talk this and so much more, so stay tuned. But for this MGM Grand Money in the Bank update, I've been Jarad Wicks, and subscribe to our YouTube channel to get notified of all our videos. Make sure you hit that like button, and we will talk to you next time.